that big deal.
Rob is all about that lifestyle. Rob is all about evil-lyn.
Let me tell you, we'll get into this later, but to quote another 90s pop culture icon, swing.
Hot for teacher. Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast. We are here to talk about Masters of the Universe Revelations, the new Masters of the Universe IP that is a continuation of the old property back in the day from the 80s. I'm your
Is
host.
it Revelations with an S or is it just Revelation?
Revelation.
Yeah.
I added the S because there was a lot of things that needed to be resolved, and
Revelations.
there was a lot of stuff, but we'll go into that spoilers because a lot of questions were left unanswered. I just added I pluralized it because there were a lot of questions. I'm your host, Dupe. With me is one of the owners and proprietors of Heroes World. That would be John. Say hello.
Hello, folks.
And with our resident Prince of Mischief, variant 119926573, Mr. Rob Gaudet.
AKA
What's
the Faker.
Yeah, thankfully you didn't call me Stinkor. That's great.
And joining with us, resident He-Man expert, first time on the pod, first time caller, long time listener, Tim Clark. Say hello.
Hello.
He's been on before, Stu.
It's been a while.
That was Stu though.
Yeah, not with me. Anyways, so thank you all for joining us. We're going to do our non-spoiler discussion quickly about He-Man, things we liked, things we disliked. John, we'll start with you. What did you like? What did you dislike without spoiling any of the He-Man storyline for the folks at home?
Just overall, we'll talk about the storyline, so I'm not going to mention anything story points. So I'll do purely superficial stuff. Animation looks pretty good. Of course, new animation now they're making a lot of shortcuts, so it's not going to look as clean as some of the old school anime and stuff like that. But overall, I really like the look. I like the design of everything. Voice actors, it's a whole like list of celebrity who's who, even vocal star who's and stuff like that. So I like pretty much all the voice acting. And yeah, just overall, I can't wait to get the related toys that go with this. So overall, I was pretty happy with the project, and we'll get into other things later.
With the story, you're okay with the story?
I was fine with it. Yeah, I was fine with it. But remember, I've only watched this once today, so maybe if I go back and rewatch it and follow all the points, then I might be like, oh wait, that doesn't make sense. So this is upon like one quick watch today. Literally, we're recording this the same day.
Okay. Rob, give us what did you like, what you didn't like?
Okay, so I'm just gonna speak to the people who are like, I'm not really sure if I should watch this. I'm not gonna get into spoiler reviews. What I would suggest is come back after you've watched it so we can get into the spoilers, because it's very hard to tiptoe around the elephant in the room being the bit of the echo chamber with respect to a tonal shift of this series. So definitely you're going to want to listen to our discussion about that and my thoughts, because I'm piping mad tonight. That all being said, non-spoiler review, this show is fantastic. It's a lot of fun. I didn't see any of the shortcuts that John was referring to, but that's fine. I mean, I'm not I was watching it. The one thing I noticed about this is that it looks gorgeous on your big screen TV, but just as equally gorgeous on your iPad if you're watching it on there. I did switch in between while I was doing a few things today. And the only reason I bring that up is sometimes, you watch a movie on your TV and then you pause it and you flip back up on your phone or your iPad and it looks a little bit bizarre. I don't know what Netflix did, but it just made it look, I don't know if it was the compression or what, maybe it's the aspect ratio, John, but it all looked really clean on both, regardless of where you were watching it. The size and scale just looked really epic. The music and the score by Bear McCready is fantastic. If you know that name, you know from The Walking Dead. John touched on the voice acting. It's all stellar. This is a spiritual successor to the original He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And it's, for me, it was a home run. If you watch this podcast, I'm not a big fan of the Transformers War for Cybertron bullshit. This is as far away from that as you could possibly get. So this is definitely worth your time.
Tim, on to you as I see your eyes skeeting back and forth.
I'm on the other side. I am neutral. I will say that I like the character designs, most of them. I enjoyed the animation, as everyone sort of touched upon. I think all of us were very impressed with the animation. Story, I'm going to remain neutral, but I have some serious issues with what they chose to go with, and I'm going to sort of put that firmly at Kevin Smith's feet, and his story, and whoever was helping him write. I enjoy it. Actually, I think the thing I enjoyed the most was the intro. It was an amazing intro. As Rob said, the music was also really good as well. And oh no, my negativity has knocked him out. Rob's gone. Oh my God, no.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
Rob just pieced out. If you're listening on the audio, Rob dipped. But we hope he'll be back in a second.
He's having some internet issues. It's fine. Yes.
And overall, I mean, like, I'm waiting for part 2 before I give my ultimate final judgment. But I do have some serious concerns, and I'll go over that with spoilers. And it's like I'm teetering, but I'm hoping in 6 months maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong because I really do like this. I will say this though. I do have a new interest in collecting this new line of figures from Mattel, and I'm looking forward to getting them. So that's one thing is a positive for me.
John, so we typically give a score out of 10. How many, I guess, I don't know how to say this. Like how many Skeletors you give out of this out of 10? Because I'm just thinking about like what's the how many Skeletors of 10 do you provide?
How many Skeletor like laughs where he tilts his head back? Yeah, I was thinking hard because someone actually asked me this earlier today. And right now, upon only watching once, and I'm sure when we get into discussing, maybe there's a bunch of plot stuff that I just completely missed out on because I was excited, watch it first thing in the morning. You got kitties running around, and I tried as my best to keep up with it. So initial rating right now, without a rewatch, without sitting down watching it in depth, is probably 7 out of 10. And it loses points because I guess some of the storyline elements were not, I guess, as strong as I would like them to be.
Tim, how about yourself? What are you giving this out of 10 Skeletor laughs out of 10?
I'm going to say 6 right now. I'm like 5.56 Skeletor out of 10. So, that's where I'm going to go with it right now.
That's fair.
What would you say, Stu, since we're missing Rob right now?
You know what? I'm in agreement with both of you. I could be swayed anywhere between 6 and 7. I found it interesting because I know Rob talked about the Bear McCready music. I know him from the Battlestar Galactica soundtrack. That's where I know the drums and the pounding.
Oh, old school.
You would think that would match really well with He-Man when you hear that.
You were Battlestar Galactica, right? Boomer and all that
big
stuff.
Battlestar Galactica, and when you think about the soundtrack for Battlestar Galactica, it's like all the drums and stuff happening, but it didn't really seem to fit with He-Man. I felt like you needed more kind of a Lord of the Rings violin type of thing going on. The vibe that I was looking for in terms of music. Bear McCready is good, but there was something about that music that just was okay. But yeah, I would say, like you, Tim, I'm holding my judgment because again, this is, even though they split it in parts, still technically part of one season. I don't think they're calling it 2 separate seasons, just based on production. Netflix seems to be just releasing chunks at a time. So I think that's where I would go. Rob, I think you're dealing with a whole bunch of technical issues.
Rob's trying to reassemble his setup, and wow. And he's moved to a backup situation.
No, I get it. I think he's just raging.
He's on mute. He's on mute.
I hate you, Tim.
No.
I feel like I want to bring it up though in the rating.
I think what happened was his sound's not working now.
Yeah, your sound's not working.
What happened as we're stalling for Rob is I feel that Skeletor really interfered with his sound and audio now. So as you said before, he's unable to communicate the fact that Beastman is outside of his house, pulling out cords on his
maybe his
connection.
iPad is fueled by magical elements, and he's having an issue.
All right. Well,
I think you connected. No.
This is it.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Holy shit. We had like a weird, it was like a brownout. and everything's kind of gone. So now I'm using my cell phone as a hotspot on my iPad.
Wow.
Hey guys,
what are you giving this out of 10, Rob? How many Skeletor laughs are you giving this out of 10 of the show?
I would give it like 9.
Wow.
Evil Yoda.
Wow. Okay. So my big question is, yeah, it's kind of Yoda.
That's like Yoda on cocaine.
Hey,
dude, there is no try.
Somewhere somebody asked, I wonder what Yoda sounds like on cocaine, and now that answer has been. Now you know.
So my question to you, John, is that last one before we go to spoilers. Would you say that a non-He-Man fan can watch this and appreciate it without knowing any of the lore? This is something they could just jump into and it wouldn't matter? Or do you need to watch the old stuff?
I don't think so. I think you're gonna need that nostalgia component to carry you through this. They throw in a lot of kind of like punny like silly stuff, and that a new viewer is probably gonna be like, what the F was that? But yeah, if they went maybe a little more on the serious side, then you could have had a Legend of Korra type thing going on. Because I never watched Avatar. I jumped on to Legend of Korra and I enjoyed those first couple of episodes. Yeah. And I wasn't really like lost. I feel like this, I think you are going to be lost, especially the way they set it
up. Rob?
Yes, dude.
You need to know the lore or this to watch the show? Or
no, I don't think so. I think that they do, and you know, people may disagree with they don't give enough of a backstory, but I think they give enough. There's not really much. No, listen, this is just you take Shazam and you take Conan the Barbarian, you kind of smash them together, and that's what you get, right? So I think anybody who has kids, if you've never introduced them to the original Mary Lou Henner haircut version of He-Man, you can easily throw them into this show and they would enjoy it quite a lot.
The Bob.
Yeah.
The male Bob.
Hey, I don't think you need to know the lore behind it. Does it help? Yeah, sure, maybe for us, but I don't think it's not a linchpin of getting to enjoy and appreciate this show.
Tim.
Oh, my turn. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think you need to have some lore behind it. I think people need to have a bit of understanding of the characters just to get an idea. Yes, if you're completely cold coming into this and you have no clue who the characters are, you know, on its merits, I guess you can say that you can get introduced to this universe. However, though, with the way the fan, you know, being a fan, I think that having the show, you know, going back, even watching a couple of episodes from the 80s or even the 2002 or 2000X series, they're called the 2000X series, just get a bit of background from them, I think would really help in giving people a little bit more foundation to see where these characters are coming from and such. Because you don't sort of see where, again, you know, you see some of the emotional like situations that occur. I find that you need to have a bit more of a background on those characters so you can understand why, and appreciation as to why they make the choices that they make in this first 5-part story.
So back to you, Tim, before just whip it back around. If you are a He-Man fan, do you need to watch the show, or should you say just avoid it until the second part, knowing what we know right now?
Watch the first episode. That's the best one when it comes to He-Man.
Okay. Rob?
Sorry, the question was,
if you are
should
a
they
He-Man
watch
fan, if you're a He-Man fan, should you watch the show or should you wait till later? Because 5 episodes is out and it is a very unique situation with He-Man and only being 5 episodes being released.
Difficult question, and it shouldn't be.
I know that. Yeah, exactly.
And it shouldn't be. And maybe that's but I don't think that that's the problem of the showrunners, or the fault of the showrunners. Yeah, I think of course you should watch it. Why the hell not?
Okay, John.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to watch it. This is the next evolution of He-Man. So whatever you've heard about it or whatever, you have to check it out for yourself. So I know that's one of those answers that's kind of like, well, what do I do? But I've seen it fall so many different directions in just talking to people today, and that's only day 1 of release. Yeah. So I think this is one of those things you are definitely gonna have to watch and decide for yourself.
All right, so let's do our closing out statements because we got hopeful spoilers and people may drop out. John, where can we find you online and in the desert of the real, what's going on at the store?
Yeah. So Heroes World Online will take you to pretty much everything we do. So it'll take you to our Instagram, our Facebook, our website, our new Twitch channel, and the YouTube channel. So just remember, Heroes World Online, all one word. We'll usually bring up everything, and all our products and everything is all linked together. So if you need to contact us, you can contact us through any of those means. There's email links, there's message links, all that kind of stuff. If you're listening to us on the audio Heroes World podcast, iTunes, Deezer, Stitcher, Spotify, any method you like to listen to podcasts, we are there. So please subscribe and give us a listen if you can't watch the video. And then
real life.
Yeah, in the real life, we are located in Markham, Ontario, right in the corner of Highway 7 and Warden is our current location. And we are currently reopened for business, so you can walk in and check out all the cool stuff we're getting in every week and chat with us in person.
Awesome. Rob, what about you?
Hey, buddy.
What's going on?
Well, I'm still trying to get everything up and running. But you mean in general? Yeah, you can find John and I on the Heroes World Sidekick Show every Monday live, 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Most of the commentary, and I believe that Tim is often on there, or at least better be, is through YouTube channel, and we do a lot of discussions on there. I'm actually not on this week. I am off. I am going to
contract negotiations.
I'm not going to watch Mean Girls. No, I've got another engagement, and John has decided that he really wants to tap into his Lindsay Lohan fan base, and which he thinks there's many. And so he'll be watching Mean Girls with guest host Sarah Baratis. So definitely tune in on Monday to see them, and then I will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Tim, where can we find you on the interwebs?
In the ether. I'm all around, and I will gladly come and enjoy, debating, talking, and enjoying nerd stuff. And I also would like to point out that I know John hasn't mentioned it yet, but I hope that Heroes World will be getting in the new Master Universe action figures. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on those through Heroes World.
Yeah, right. We do have the Revelations figures on pre-order, so hopefully they show up soon.
Whenever they get off that boat.
Revelation. Yeah.
I want to say that.
Okay, so awesome. Let's go straight to spoilers and break this, because let's just say what we have to say right now. This is spoiler review, so you've been warned. Let's just first off say the biggest elephant in the room, and then we'll go into full details. For those of you who don't know what the heck's going on, there was revelations
Revelation
that one of the outlets broke that He-Man, the storyline was basically the Tila show. He-Man was he was going to be removed very quickly, and then she was going to solve the problems, and then Kevin Smith went out and said, that's a false, no way, He-Man is there, He-Man is this, He-Man is that, and now people are reacting based on the episodes, because guess what? He-Man disappears after episode 1.
No, he's still there. He's
back. He's there in flashbacks.
He's in flashbacks.
He's gone. Like it's So first episode, and that's it.
He's there in our hearts, and that's what he's there in our hearts.
Listen, it's a matter of semantics. Kevin Smith said he is in every episode, and he is.
Yep.
He never made any promises as to whether or not he was in 90% of each episode. He just said he's in every episode. People need to stop going, and he is in every episode. So he wasn't incorrect in that.
Yes.
Yeah, so some of the saltiness, I guess, is a lot of people feel it was a bait and switch. I'll say something quick first, and then I guess we'll just go around, do whatever you want to do.
Yep.
But it is called Masters of the Universe. It wasn't called He-Man.
That's correct.
So there's a small caveat there.
Yep.
But I feel those people that are kind of like, oh yeah, this is the return of He-Man, big deal. He's big in the trailer, and then they kind of like pull that away. He's not in the main part of the show. But I really enjoyed like having some of these other characters fleshed out, especially a Tila character who maybe got 2 spotlight episodes back in the day. I don't know what her status was. I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit about this other He-Man series when we're talking about this here. But I enjoyed seeing all those characters fleshed out, and even I guess you could also argue that Skeletor is missing from the mix as well too.
The two biggest characters.
Yeah. But I feel like Skeletor is actually a bigger deal than He-Man, because Skeletor is definitely on that Mount Rushmore of villains or whatever when you start getting people to list off their things. But everyone else got a a chance to shine, which I think is really cool. But maybe I'm weird and I'm different, and I like these auxiliary characters and these weird guys getting like a spotlight. So I don't know, that's my piece on
He-Man
that. So.
is as we all know, a toy line, and they made 100 toys and they showed up in random episodes. That's what it's all about. So tell us what else you liked and what else you didn't like. Full spoilers, John.
Yeah. Okay. So in general, the storyline, yeah, sure, it could have been, it could have been tighter. There are some, I guess, like preachy moments, but I feel like most of them made sense. Like there's one point where evil-lyn is like, I was the sidekick to Skeletor for so long, and I'm sick of this, right? And I'm like, okay, that's cool. You know, like eventually, whoever is second in command is going to realize, why am I second in command? And then I like the idea that it's basically like a magical EMP goes off and takes out all magical things. So technology becomes on the rise, and you have Triclops with his band of like electro, I don't know what they're, techno something or other, and they're the main threat now, because all of magic is being depleted. Oracle's sacrifice is pretty cool. I could give two shits about Oracle previously, but I actually did feel bad when he was like, I was actually on the edge of my seat when he was closing those rings on Scareglow. And I was like, oh man, what's he gonna do? Oh, this is the end for Oracle. And then he's like, and then when the ring catches Scareglow, I'm like, oh my god, he did it. This like D-tier character caught Scareglow, who is like one of the most legendary, and I'm sure Tim might get into it. This character that kind of like has always been like this legend that we've never really actually heard that much about, but Oracle like kind of stops him. So I thought that was cool. I don't know what else to say. I did like the Tile redesign. I know some people are harping on it with the undercut and stuff like that, but I've basically rocked that hairstyle, so I'm okay with it.
Let's be very frank. When you're a girl and you have long hair, fighting is not. Things move around. It's really hard to fight.
This is especially if you're living in medieval times. I don't know if all barbers were magical or whatever, but this cut became very easy for me to obtain during COVID when no barbers were around. So if all the barbers were actually magicians in Eternity, then I understand why she went with that look, although not everybody went with that look. So yeah, overall, I don't know, I'm pretty happy with it. I feel like I'm raising my rating to an 8, but let some of the other guys talk.
Here's the thing about people talking about Oracle. Oracle is that and on these shows anyways, until you see a death, there's no death.
So he's dead. He's a mystical creature, and
I'm glad you said that there, Stu.
It reminded what it reminded me of? It reminded me of, if you haven't read Fantastic Four, there is a Fantastic Four, Jonathan Hickman, where Human Torch is on the side and the annihilation wave is coming, and he pushes the kids through the door. He's like, I got this, and they just flame on. Like, this is his moment to shine.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, oh, he died.
Yeah, he's just like, no way he could survive. Like, no way he could survive. But I think it was an interesting move to give a character who, frankly, was the butt of jokes of most of the thing. And it's a kid's show, and that's why he's there. But to elevate,
he even addresses it. He's like, he's gonna slip on a banana peel, or catch on fire. I'm not your guy, which I thought was really cool. Like Oracle, I couldn't if that's the one figure I was missing from my collection, I would not give a crap. But for this new one, I'm gonna be like, okay, I need that new Oracle. But I guess Oracle purists are gonna be mad.
Tim, I need to know your thoughts. I know you're gonna draw some knowledge on us. Give us your thoughts. What did you like? What did you not like?
All right, so I made my list of things I liked, but I want to.
I have a feeling the list you don't like is a little bit longer.
No, it's not that it's long. It's just I got like. Okay, so I guess what I'll go through is, let me just go through about what I didn't like, and then I can go, and then I'll end off my things that I liked. Okay, so what I didn't like, no He-Man. I mean, we get one episode at the very beginning of He-Man doing He-Man things, and I thought it was great. I enjoyed it immensely. I did. It was like the little boy in me was starting to go, wee, and I enjoyed every aspect. Even when at that last part where both Skeletor and, well, not even Skeletor, when Skeletor and He-Man kick the bucket, supposedly, and I was like, oh, okay, I could kind of see where they're kind of going. I felt that with Mossman being killed off, I felt that was a bit of here's Mossman, now he's incinerated. It was kind of like, oh, okay.
He's Mossman, who cares?
I think you needed He-Man to put the blade into Skeletor. Like, he wouldn't have done that in any other context.
He needed
Yeah.
I get it, but it was like as John sort of pointed out, it's Moss Man, right? It's like he wasn't there. It should have been someone like Stratos or Mechanic or someone else that may have actually meant more to He-Man in a sense.
We don't know how he broed out with Moss
So,
Man. We don't know what the relationship they have.
So that I actually and right up into the end, I mean, super here.
Well, the Moss Man has got his revenge. Tim's breaking up. Is gone.
Shout outs to Alan Oppenheimer, who did the original Skeletor voice doing Moss Man. Man, what a talent of a voice actor, because he does Moss Man's voice, and if you didn't know, I don't think you would be able to tell. Like, that's the how talented those kind of old school voice actors are.
Yeah.
But a lot of these voice actors were actually celebrities, right? So I think
am I back?
Yeah, you're back now. Yeah.
Moss Man released you. Moss Man released you.
No. Okay,
Moss
so
Man,
my
pissed.
problem is they killed off Adam again at the end in part 5. And
we don't know if he's dead.
We don't check his pulse.
We don't
that
know
wasn't
if
the
he's
heart.
dead. And it was
That's
a
your
cliffhanger
stomach.
of all cliffhangers. But it pissed me off, right? It really pissed me off. I was really mad.
You're not gonna kill He-Man. He's not dead. Get out of town.
Okay, but here and that's where again, where I'm coming back. I'll come back to everyone sort of talking about, right? So they should have really, again, when it was starting to get revealed and spoiled that this was Teela's story, they should have just kept rolling with that in the media and marketing and just said, you know what, folks, it is a Teela-centric story. And it was sort of like the cat came out of the bag, but then they kind of were like, no, it's not really. There's He-Man. It was like, no, this really is Teela. And I think that was a real, it disparaged to the fans, right? My other concerns here, so for voice acting, I enjoyed Lena Headey as Evil-lyn. I thought she was great. I enjoyed Evil-lyn's character. I thought she was great. I felt out of all the characters, her story arc was much more interesting than Teela's, because here you had someone who was evil, who was a second in command, but now is becoming a primary role. But now she's seeing the fact that there's the whole, we have to save magic. And I thought that was really great. And the fact that we're seeing magic leaving Eternia, and I thought that was really good. And I felt though that story, as at its core, is really interesting. In fact, and how they need to have still magic in this universe, right? So I really did like this, right?
With the accent was great.
I thoroughly did enjoy her character. I thought she was really good. Back on things I didn't like. Okay, so Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy's voices. Kevin Conroy's voice as Merman, it was okay. He wasn't
threw me off a little bit.
It was really weird. I was like, it's just Batman. It's just Batman.
I know. And I think that's where they should have added a little bit of some synth, like that gurgling water sound that they had.
His water while talking.
Right? Yeah, they should have gargled water.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Or he should have done it from inside of a fish tank.
Yeah,
exactly. They should have done something where maybe they changed his voice around a bit. The voice I hated the most, though, was Mark Hamill as Skeletor. It did not feel like Skeletor in any way.
Oh, I liked it.
He sounded like Joker. He was playing Joker, a MacGuffin on He-Man, going like, "Haha, He-Man, I'm actually Joker." And then
Cobra Commander and Skeletor pretty much sound the same as well, and I let that pass.
Yeah, I know, but
Starscream, I'm pretty much all the same.
So there's that. Basically, those are some aspects that I really didn't like. As for the Teela-centric story, again, I mean, I kind of get it, but I also am not a fan of the fact that she was the only primary character, honestly, out of all of them to get the most focus. You have all these other characters. You had Stratos, you had Clamp Champ, you had all the other other characters that would have actually, I think, helped to actually make this better. And I'm really sad by the fact they're not showing up yet. I could be wrong, and they show up in the second half, and I hope they do. I honestly hope they do. But I was really sort of I wouldn't say pissed, but I was a little annoyed. My other thing that I was not a fan of was the fact that Sorceress, who is so integral into the story, was essentially, she was pushed to the side, and yet her character it is integral, because she is part of Grayskull, and she was part of it. She's part of Grayskull. She's part of He-Man's mythology and everything, right? It's all part of the mythology. And yet she was kind of like, here she is. Oh no, her power's gone. Oh no, she's now an old lady. Oh, okay. And then we got to go protect her. Why? I mean, like they didn't really sort of emphasize as to why she needed to still be protected in a sense, and that's what really frustrated me. You know, and again, I'm hoping things change, and I'm hoping that a few of the things that they've alluded to with what occurred in episode 4 does occur. You know, and from what I understand from the history and stuff, as in for the relationships that occurred in the show itself, I'm cool with most of the relationships. You know, I mean, the introduction of Andra as a new character, I thought was actually really interesting. The fact that she's a little bit she's tech savvy, I thought that was really good. Her relationship
I thought she was
with
badass.
Tila, yeah, like with her and Tila's relationship, it felt natural in a sense, and I was really okay with it. In episode, I think at the beginning of episode 5, where basically Adam is sort of saying to Tila in Preternia, hey, I just want to let you know, you know, that she's basically, he felt like he was going to say, I like you, or I like you a lot. And she said, like, no, I moved on from all this nonsense,
Or it could be
right?
the other way around. It'd be like,
Right.
by the way, I don't like you in that way.
No, I didn't get that. I did not get that in the way that the narrative of what that was happening in that spot. I didn't get that from that in any way. It felt like he was going to let basically say, I got a crush on you and I like you, right? You know, but at the same time,
I took it as they were battle allies.
Yeah,
exactly.
I could go either way, because really the way that they set up Tila and Andrea, like the beginning of the show, them together, it was kind of like, are you telling me something about this show, that they're both holding secrets back, that the fact that they're both, you know, LGBTQ, like these are the things that they're holding back, and they're not.
You mean like with Tila and Andra?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I actually felt like they
had a better chemistry
you know?
than Korra and like the other like girl I forgot already from Avatar, John. Like,
but again, I felt like
more forced.
I felt that relationship, and it was fine. But I also, again, I felt like in episode 5 when they were up in Preternia, I felt that you know, Adam was trying to basically say, before I died, I wanted to let you know that I liked you, right? And I felt that was sort of like, particularly, again, I know there's a bit. It looks as though there's an age difference between Tila and Prince Adam.
This is no one knows how old anyone is in Eternia.
I know.
Because let's be very frank, Tim. Stop for a second. When evil-lyn at the end was like, I'm beginning to like you kids, I'm like, aren't you the same age as everyone else? Like, you don't look that much older. You just have white hair. What are you talking about age? This is
I'm
Eternia.
just saying that
Everyone's
I feel as
forever
though,
old.
Again, I felt that it was a nice. I thought it was nice. I felt that it kind of sort of like it kind of cut that you know, that conversation off very quickly, but also sort of let Adam and us know that she's now moved on and she has Andra, and I thought that was actually really good. Okay, all right, but. You know, and I think that's where I liked it. Okay, so things that I really liked. All right, I actually liked, like I said, I really liked the evil-lyn. I liked how she was portrayed. I love her new look. I can't wait to get her as an action figure. I liked how they still kept Cringer as Cringer. I felt that was really good. I thought he actually, I felt, you know, as a battle cat, you know, he had a good moments, and I enjoyed that. I did like the quick little microseconds of Clawful, Stinkor, Spikor, you know, Fisto, you know, I think it's Lasher. I forget what the guy's the tail was. I thought, again, they were kind of cool. Triclops and Trapjaw. Trapjaw is my favorite character, so it was one of my favorite characters. So I really like that whole new cult that they've created. I liked how there's like Motherboard and Diode and stuff. I felt that was really like almost like Dark Sidey.
Was that one guy Blast Off or Blast something? I think he's Blast Attack.
I think that's
Blast Attack, and he blows up. I thought that was pretty funny.
So I felt like, again, I felt that they were the introduction.
The old toy actually breaks apart.
Yeah. So I mean, I did like what they did with that new cult, because I felt like it's like, you know, with, you know, you knew kind of have this illusion that alluded to that, you know, Skeletor was going to come back and He-Man may come back. But I felt like this was great as introducing another enemy faction for the heroes of Masters of the Universe to fight, which I thought was really good. So I did like those. I was actually, you know, seeing how Beastman was in this was actually interesting, because he's almost like chaos neutral, right? In a sense, like he's there to protect evil-lyn, but you don't know if he's full evil, because even he was at the end of episode 5, him and evil-lyn were kind of like, yeah, we're gonna go evil now, yay! But it was like,
they turn with the tide. They turn with the tide.
You know?
That's more how I saw it. They're like, yeah, we're switching just because Skeletor just killed He-Man. So
Yeah. We're survivors.
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised, honestly, and we'll talk about this in a second. I wouldn't be surprised if she turns on him at the end of this, like at the series, and be like, I'm changed and I'm actually doing it something else.
I think that would be great. As for the battle between Orko and Scareglow, Scareglow was an old new character, but Scareglow also is supposedly the ghost of Skeletor, right, or a specter of Skeletor. So that I'm going to save that for later. Is my train of thought on that. But I did enjoy the Orko moment. I felt that the spoilage of having them saying that Orko was going to die in the show was, I think, a little bit premature. I think it was like, he kind of dies, but you don't know if he's really dead. So I felt, he had his moment. I mean, obviously, he's not the greatest of characters, but he's still part of the Masters of the Universe mythos, which is really good. But I also want to point out, though, that as we all sort of said now, the Masters of the Universe it's He-Man. We all recognize that it's always He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. So, that is my biggest contention right now with this new show.
Not in the title, so it doesn't matter.
But it does matter though, because he's one of the key aspects. And I felt like, again, I felt a lot of I will say it, I felt like a lot of the male characters really were kind of just sidelined here. And I felt that was a bit of a, something that really should not have happened.
Episodes of male dominated episodes. I'm good with the 5 episodes.
He wasn't even technically the star of his motion picture.
Yeah. So
I was just going to say that I want to see
you, Tim, but I'm like, at this point, I'm ready for something different, because we have the 2002 show. We had all the episodes before.
But it has always been He-Man in the Masters of the Universe. So I just wanted to kind of say that as well.
I agree.
And I mean, I am looking forward. I will be watching the second part. But, I felt like Kevin Smith also did a disservice to the fans in how he handled the marketing for this.
We'll talk about that in a second. Hold that thought. Let me jump to Rob, because that's a whole bit of camera rolls. Rob, you really liked it, so give us your thoughts.
I do. So
rating.
And it's interesting, and I'm not picking on Tim, but a lot of what he complained about, or sorry, you're there, Tim. A lot of stuff that you had complained about, it sounds like you were giving it praise in a sense, because they fleshed out a lot of these characters. They built upon the mythos and the idea of what Eternia was, Castle Grayskull. You go back to those old cartoons, those old episodes, they were all self-contained stories. This is a story arc that we've only seen part 1 of. And they fleshed out, you have the history, you have more of Tila, you have more of Man-at-Arms, you understand a bit better of their dynamic. The only characters they really didn't flesh out were the king and the queen. And yet you had some emotion from the queen, because she knew her son was He-Man. So I found that they built upon a 1980s cartoon that was only meant to sell toys. That was the entire impetus of it. And the reason for its creation, as we all saw, the toys that made us, why they created as a counter to Barbie from Mattel. You see all this and you realize that they've built upon the foundation that came before, but they've gone over and above what I think a lot of people, if you really think about what their expectations were going into this show, because I think people would have been just as happy going in saying, oh, I just want to have a retread of what we had. But it's so much more. There's so much more depth in this show and these characters. Here's, and I said it earlier when we started and I was on the computer, I had an issue with, and I was pretty pissed off, and I'll tell you what it is. And so if you're going to be offended, then I don't give a shit. I have a problem with the echo chamber of people calling this, slagging this show and saying it's woke. And I'm using that term because that's all you're seeing online. People, and they're all males. They're all males who are banging drums saying this is bullshit. This is the Tila show. This is a woke, why is Netflix so woke? Why do we have to do this? Why can't we have men running around with their sword? We want He-Man. It's a He-Man show, not the Tila show, or whatever the case may be. And they're saying this is woke bullshit, and they're blaming Kevin, and they're the pitchforks and everything else. And I really think that, I think you're seeing a lot of that online, but I think that that's not indicative of the overall fan service. I think the people who really like it, like I do, I'm not jumping on defending it, and I'm not getting into the battles with the trolls because I don't find it
Oh yeah, I don't even want to.
worthwhile. I don't find it worth my time. But I will say this: for those people who are bitching and moaning and are complaining and are crying in their fucking bed sheets because they feel this is a woke, get the fuck out of here. Like, I'll be Andre today and be full of the potty mouth. I don't have time for that stuff. I think that this is 2021, for God's sakes. Like, you need to, it's not a woke show. It's a television show. It's a cartoon. And I'm sorry that you're now in your 40s and you're pissed off because you want to have the exact same experiences you had when you were 10. That's just not the way life works, right? Like, what you like when you're 10 is not what you're going to like when it's not going to be the exact same experience you have when you're in your 40s. So suck it up, move the fuck on, or stop complaining about it. If you don't want to watch it, why are you spending the amount of time complaining? And those people who are complaining about it generally have not seen all of the episodes. All this to say is that I would suspect that a lot of these people who are complaining are probably the same people who would completely accept a Justice League storyline where Batman goes missing for 5 issues, and people will be like, well, I'm a big Batman fan. Batman's missing. This is really interesting. I want to see how they're going to find him. And they end up finding him in issue 6 or 7. They'd be okay with that. This is all that these first 5 episodes are. It's a part 1 of a story. It's a story arc. He-Man, saves Eternia again, but the ultimate stakes. They've done the thing that they've never done in any of these TV shows. He sacrifices himself. He, for the greater good, he's gone. And now his Masters of the Universe friends have to go and try to find him and bring him back. That is like the crux of almost every great comic book storyline or science fiction movie or TV show or whatever. Fuck, Kirk went searching for Spock. For God's sake, Spock sacrifices himself.
I believe they called the movie that.
Whole movie in number 3.
Kirk searches for Spock is the title, I think.
Yes, it's called A Search for Spock, for God's sakes. And we all were like, that's great. People. So yeah. I have just a real issue with people who are pissed off for pissed off sake because they feel that Kevin Smith has shit all over their property. And I think that, Stu mentioned it earlier. This is not, Kevin Smith wasn't given the golden keys to Mattel and said to run rampant. That, there's checks and balances with all of these things. There's a team of writers. Mattel is going to make sure that their IP is not being, listen, Kevin Smith's known for dick and fart jokes and smoking weed and everything else. None of that was in this show because they wanted to ensure that it was still maintaining the integrity of their IP, because at the end of the day, they still want to sell toys. I understand Tim's disappointment as a fan because he's a hardcore fan, and I get it. But Tim's argument today wasn't about the fact that he hates that it's a woke or it's a Tila show. So I don't have a problem. Like, I think Tim's arguments are fair. I don't agree with all of them because I like the show, but I'm also recognizing myself not as the biggest fan in comparison to Tim. I just have an issue with people who are just banging the drums and being all upset. This is the Tila show. It is not the Tila show. I love what they've done with everything. I like the journey that they're on. I like the fact that Skeletor kills He-Man twice. Like, what are we talking? Think about that. Think about what we're talking about. I know we can say, oh, he's not really dead, but they still killed him. They stabbed him twice, right? Like, that's huge. Like, they swung.
He was like a threat. He was a threat in this. He was like a legit threat.
Yes, they swung for the fences and they connected with it, and they did something that nobody had ever done before with these properties. This is you know what? The only time this has ever happened before is when you guys were playing in your basement, you're playing He-Man or in your backyard or whatever, and you made those fucking decisions. You're like, I'm going to kill you, He-Man. You actually did it. And you're like, it doesn't matter, just toys. They did that in this cartoon, and I think we're all the better for it. So all this to say is that I think it's a great show, and I don't have patience or respect, to be very honest with you, for people who are just, again, running in an echo chamber about this being a woke show, because it's not.
I wanted to talk quickly about what Tim was saying about He-Man. You felt that it wasn't enough He-Man. And thinking about it more and more as you both were discussing your points, I felt it was actually the perfect amount for He-Man. I often will say that He-Man is like Superman. He's pretty much unstoppable. You can't beat him and whatnot. And this show gave us the vulnerability of Adam, but also showed us his heart. in terms of like the episodes of like he's not just
he chooses to be Adam in the afterlife instead of being
Thank you for stealing my
He-Man.
point, John, and thank you for
No, I'm gonna steal it. I'm gonna steal it right now so I can sound smart for 1 second.
But like,
while Stu goes on.
Like again, one of the things that I really enjoyed was the fact that He-Man is more dimensional than just he has all the power of the universe and he has a really big sword and he's awesome. But that whole, as John just took my point about not Subternia but Panteria, was that when they all go up and it shows the mythos that there always been a He-Man type of character, but when he died and the service and trials, you get to choose your form, and he chose Adam human, not the big burly guy, and that's how he sees himself as a hero and what he means to the Eternia, that he is doing this of the pureness of his heart, and that's all the flashbacks of stuff. It was lighthearted He-Man being like, hey, we're here for each other, here I'm helping, here this is about me doing this, and even the fact that he's sacrificing again in his regular form, sacrificing himself, going, hey, if you go, you may never come back. And that's echoed by Moss Man. Is like, if you go, you may never come back.
He doesn't. I think he knows. He's
like, I don't think so. But I'm in there. What do I know? I've been here for a million years. That's nothing in the grand scheme of the universe. And then when it goes to, now when he meets Grayskull, and he's like, yeah, if you go, you're never coming back. So it's one of those things where it shows that that's the hero decision that he makes. Like, he is given his terms of service. He doesn't have to go back. He does. So it's another way just showing that Adam is truly a wonderful He-Man, because again, he's doing double service when he doesn't have to. So again, I want Adam to do stuff, but let's be very frank. This first 5 episodes was a disappointment in every fight scene. The fact that Powerhouse does this animation, they did Castlevania, they did, Blood of Zeus. All the fighting scenes were hot garbage. Like, they were just, nothing was memorable. Nothing was
like
cool.
Them? I don't know. I like the Skeletor fight at the beginning.
It was lame, man.
That was where they put most of their energies into, was that first episode, to catch people to keep on watching.
I think back that emotional, like, I'm thinking back at Castlevania season 2, when they go to the castle, opens up, and then the beat hits with the Castlevania theme, and the 3 of them are going through just doing stuff. There was no moment in this entire series where it was like, man, this is awesome. Look at these heroes coming and fighting and doing cool stuff.
I know. I like the action, like Tila with her like little lightsaber thing, and even when evil-lyn and Oracle are running from that thing,
show, like what they could be doing, right? So
I felt like I felt for the characters they had on the screen, they did have their moments. I mean, like, Oracle had his moments, Andra had her moments, Tila obviously had most of the moments. He-Man had his big moments in the first episode, and after that was pretty much it. I felt like even like Beastman had their moments, Roboto had their moments, and like, again, I'm not even like really concerned too much about Roboto dying in a sense, because he's a robot, right? He's an artificial intelligence. Yep. He's going to come back eventually, because Man-at-Arms will put him together again, right? So there's no big deal there. I just felt like the story was way too, and then, I'm on that opposite fence. Like, it really was the Tila story. It was, compared to every one of the other characters. I could almost say that, like, out of the story that was happening, I felt that evil-lyn, I was more interested in her story mainly, because I really wanted to see where she was coming from and how she was, again, where she was going to go with. And again, like, I'm hoping, as we move into this second part, that, they maybe flesh this out. Even if they created a new series for He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, I'd be cool with seeing some of these characters like changing sides. I'm cool with all that. Like, if they're going to go with that whole mentality of, that they've changed sides.
How do you think it was a Tila story, though, when you have essentially a fellowship? They were all off together to try to solve this whole entire thing. Like, was because Tila was taking point?
So, I'm not even done, guys. You guys all had your chance to talk. Let me finish off. You jerks.
No. Yes.
And the steal from John. John steals my crap. I'll steal my points. I'm just waiting. You had your time to say it, John. Stealer.
You're so smart, dude, that I'm so thrilled when I follow along with where you're going.
Gosh. What I have to say, Lena Headey was just Lena Headey. I was disappointed in her. I'm like, you couldn't pretend to be a little more like witchy. Like, could you pretend to be a little like, oh, like
she was when she was the old lady?
Like, could you not have been more of that? Like, Lena Headey, I know how you talk. We've watched Terminator. You couldn't do an English. Like, all you could be is English. And even in Terminator, the Sarah Sarah Connor Chronicles, you were still Lena Headey. So it is what it is. It's fine. Yeah, it's just disappointing to see, you know, how they kind of led that character, and you just go, okay, fine, it is. But I don't understand why Tila. Can someone explain to me why she was such a curmudgeon about the whole situation? She's like, I've worked hard, I've done this. Why didn't anyone tell me the secret? Like, what was her gripe about that she had to like do this like whole thing where she's like, I'm leaving.
I actually kind of like that aspect.
I was like,
where
really? Because He-Man was like, that's the can't.
That's her best. That's like her best friend essentially.
So
like,
I'm gonna.
Yes,
I don't know. Okay, here's what I'm looking at for Tila's kind of backstory,
yeah.
and I could be wrong.
Okay,
I'm not the biggest He-Man fan.
Okay,
so, and I'm going by the lore, and it's, you know, I'm a little fuzzy. You know, I smoked a lot of weed and did a lot of drugs when I was younger. The thing is I believe that the whole purpose behind Tila's character was that she was going to become the next sorceress. Right, that she was going to. The whole thing was, and again, this is conjecture on my part. So if the true He-Man fans out there get mad at me, please, you know, I apologize. But it's the fact is, I believe that the whole thing was that back in the day, was the sorceress essentially sacrifices herself and to save Grayskull, and in that, when she does that, Tila then has to take on the mantle of the sorcerer. So she becomes the new guardian of, not the protector, that's He-Man's job, but the guardian of Grayskull, right? And so she takes on that role. But she, you know, she moves into that. And that's what I felt like this story is supposed to be going. And maybe we are going that route.
I think it is, because it's been lewd twice. Because she was like, oh, you're really important to me. And then she's like, why am I important, when she was in Grayskull? And then all of a sudden, when the Onion Knight from Game of Thrones said, hey, there's a secret that I have to tell you, Man-at-Arms. And I'm like, ooh, the Onion Knight's telling me what's going on. First off, Liam Cunningham is fantastic, no matter what he does.
So I felt like, and I felt that again when she was holding the power sword, and she got the 3 lines showed up on her forehead. I feel like that's where, again, like, if that's where they're going with this, then again, I'm all for it. I really am for it. I am. And so I'm hoping that, you know, that does occur. You know, I felt like, again, like I felt that's why I feel, again, like, this is where they're going with Tila's character, and I felt that would be really great if that's where they're going, and I do hope they are, you know. And I think honestly that Netflix, like, this is where that, like, you know, to I wouldn't say just appease fans, but to maybe shut people the hell up, is maybe, you know, get that, like, get a trailer out in the next couple of months, or like make sure that you give people the next date as to when the next part is going to happen, so people are like, they can get ready for it. You know what I mean? Because
if Netflix was smart, they would have had a trailer out immediately, like today. People like, let's squash this rebellion and just give them an up. Like, He-Man's back.
Why? But why?
I feel like it's such a small demographic though that is
just
rebelling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an echo chamber.
I'm not saying it's just an echo chamber. I mean, like, let's be clear. Again, I feel, and this, again, my opinion is, I feel as though what Kevin Smith has done is what Rian Johnson did with Star Wars. It's decisive. It is. I really do feel it is. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. You know, I'm hoping I'm not right, you know, in any way.
I don't understand how you could say that though, Tim, because he literally expanded the entire universe. Like, and I get it's not all on his shoulders. He had a room full of writers, but did we, and I listen, you're going to tell me if I'm wrong because you're the guy. Did we ever have any previous history or knowledge of all of these prior heroes that are fleshed out? I mean, like, that was like pretty cool when he's in
the next series.
Sorry?
Oh, awesome.
We can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No, we're talking with Tim. I can hear you. Tim's breaking up. Yeah, it's breaking up. Yeah, we can't hear you at all. Anyway, so your connection is janky. I guess
it's 10 o'clock at night. This is what happens. Everybody's looking at like porn, and it's destroying the.
It's coming back.
Here we go.
You're back. You're good.
Yeah, okay.
Like a normal guy watching porn at 10 o'clock at night. It lasts 1 minute.
Apparently, Tim does not buy good cable service. He's using a dial-up modem. Whatever.
It's okay. So I was gonna say is in the older '80s one, I don't believe so. But man, I haven't watched the old '80s ones in years. Thinking on that, but I can say for the 2000X series,
They're bad.
They're no, I wouldn't say they're bad. They actually did flesh out some of the characters, and they gave characters more speaking points. And like again, like how like you, John, and Rob were saying, like there was much more like they gave the secondary characters beyond He-Man more time in this show. I felt the 2000X series did that very well too, because in the 2000X series, Zodak was more prevalent. Stratos was more prevalent.
Yeah.
You had Stinkor, you had Webstorm, you had all the even like the villains had a lot more frequency in the 2000X stories, and they actually did expand upon some of like where they're from. Like even I think it was Buzzsaw. I forget what his name was. Buzz
Off.
I don't know. Buzz Off. Yeah, Buzz Off. Even Buzz Off had his own his story too.
Yeah, but they had 20 plus episodes to do it in. And,
I know.
This is a different show. I feel like a lot of people who wanted something from this
100%
this show should go back and watch that.
That is a separate universe, a different Eternia, because this show that we watched is a continuation of the original OG. So it's
an evolution. Like I think Rob's absolutely right. This is an evolution of the series. And yeah, people who wanted more of the same, if you wanted to watch those same animation cells repeat over and over again and have a story where He-Man just punches the bad guy and that's all you learn about him is that he can take a punch and disappear. It's a different time.
So yeah, as for Tila's whole thing about like she got all that she was not letting in on the secret, I felt like and I could see why she was kind of really pissed off about it, but at the same time though it was like, yeah, maybe a little overreacting here. They did it for a reason, so but it was like
it is what it is. We carry on. I'm not going to go through unanswered questions because
can I just quickly say we didn't talk about how fucking hot evil-lyn looked when she took off that stupid crown off of her head and she dropped that I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm 45 and I was like looking, I'm like, wow, she's like pure like mature MILF. It's not what. But she dropped the silver.
Rob was all Stacy's mom.
Holy
Stacy's
I
mom.
was like, not since that 1980s video girl from like Warrant, I think it was, or with White Snake, where the girl was dancing in neon, have I been so attracted to a cartoon figure on television. I was like, this is like watching heavy metal for me. I was like, oh my god, this is starting to sweat.
It was a good look for her. Typically, she has short cropped hair.
Yeah.
If you remember from a lot of the other series and comics and stuff like that. So this time they went with the long hair, which was kind of spoiled. They have an action figure with the head on that has the long hair.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, none of us saw that.
What size is it coming?
None of us saw that figure. We're fine.
I liked Evil-lyn's character. Like her character design was spot on. Like with the helmet on, with the helmet off, I thought that she was actually really good.
Even the idea of her semi turning into a good guy, they always do this with a cool villain. They're like, oh, let's kind of make them a quasi good guy. I was actually fine with it. I'm like, she's
in
cool.
the gray zone, and I think that's what it's all about. She's not really. She basically laid out like, I should be ruling Eternia. She never said like, oh, by the way, like I want to help the good guys. She was like, by the way, I should be running stuff because you guys are all incompetent. So she was still out for her, which I respect, because the same thing is.
Yeah, I thought was funny, and I don't know if you noticed this. The first episode was obviously written by Kevin Smith. That was probably that first half of that episode was probably the most 1980s dialogue like episode. It's almost as if he wrote it to kind of be like, don't worry, I'm massaging you, I'm giving you everything, all the feels from the 1980s, including the cheesy dialogue and the really quick puns and everything. I've got you. And then as soon as everything happens after episode 1, it became a much more tonally different show to actually match the story that they were telling. And I thought that was an interesting choice, that again, the episode 1 was very much that gateway to those who remember the 80s. And then it completely, once you see what happens at the end and you left on that cliffhanger of that first episode, it became much more of a different dialogue spoken during exposition wise throughout the rest of the series. The characters spoke differently to each other. I thought that was a very interesting choice that they made.
Yeah, because Andra calls it out too. It's like, He-Man sounds goofy. And he's like, yeah, you have to remind yourself he's a 14-year-old boy. Like, it all makes sense once you put everything in context. You're like, oh yeah, he's like a teenage boy.
Well,
so
Tina's like, yeah, he was like that. He was
he's
like
gonna do his CSI like glasses and make a pun while he's punching.
Right, exactly. It's David Caruso as a child.
This is like when you're 14, you think puns are awesome, so you're like, yes. Be like, I don't think you'll see through that motion again. And it's like, in the face. Like, what? Why would anyone say this? This is awful. So, you know, it did seem very appropriate. Okay, so we're gonna go quickly. We've all talked about this. Toys, John, has this rekindled? I know you talked about it before. Are you gonna buy all of them now with this series? Are you all on board?
It's impossible now. So like I collect these. This is the brand new line of figures that I'm showing on camera here. If you're listening on the audio, they're called He-Man Origins figures. We do carry these at the shop, and you can find them at Walmart's and Toys R Us's. And they're like a redo of the old 80s line. And then later on in life, they released what's called the He-Man or the Masters of the Universe Classics line, which is a 7-inch figure. Really nice. It was exclusively through Matty Collector. Tim can correct me if I'm wrong or whatever. But now they are worth a ton of money, even before this show hit. So I don't know how I'm missing a lot of key figures. I don't actually have a Skeletor from that line. I was lucky enough to get a He-Man from Tim off that line. Like Triclops, he's a hard to get line, Trapjaw, all that. So they do have a brand new line though, Revelations, which is based off the cartoon show. You're gonna have Mossman, He-Man, Tila, Skelegod. They did reveal that Faker figure, which he looks like Colossus, will be coming out. So I am looking forward to getting these new figures, since the other stuff is kind of starting to become unattainable.
And so there'd be Rob's favorite, the evil-lyn's also going to have 2 different head swaps in that set.
Yeah.
So Rob, is that evil-lyn going to go in between Superman and Batman, or between Superman and Green Lantern? What's the situation like?
Right next to my wife and I. John, my question for you: the Mossman figure, is it a 6-inch, or is it just really a bunch of dust?
It's like a pile of leaves.
That scene when they burned him down, it reminded me of Swamp Thing when they've done that 8 million times in the Justice League.
Swamp Thing's only weakness: dry day and fire.
But that's the thing with the green. It's like Swamp Thing. You can't kill Swamp Thing. He just comes back anyways. I'm just like sitting there. I'm like, yeah, Mossman will just come back, right? Because if it's just trees.
I really like though. That's when they were in. What was in the Heaven version? Paternia. I really liked them being there.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
It was a really cool concept. And then what's his name from the unit came on?
Dennis Haysbert. What do you mean?
I was like,
President Palmer from 24.
Yeah. I also liked the other protector of Grayskull who spoke no English. Like she's like clearly she was like a protector of like before the other one.
The sorceress,
the other sorcerer. She's like, I don't speak English.
They're all looking at her and they're like, anyways.
It's like such a time period before, even in Grayskull. It's like, oh yeah, they've been protectors. There's been so many like Hero and like all these other ones. There's like all these guys are there.
I have that figure. Those are figures that came out like late in the line that were not kind of popular. And some of these characters, like Tim mentioned, Clamp Champ and even Scareglue, had very brief, if not didn't even appear. Like I think Clamp Champ didn't even make it into the original animated series. And even the original toy line. So it's cool that those characters made it into this one, even if it was just a cameo or whatever.
But for 5 episodes.
Yeah, and Rob said this is only 5 episodes. 5 episodes, 20 minutes apiece. So
we did a lot in 5 episodes.
Yeah. So they haven't even covered that much ground. It was essentially a single like 150-minute movie or something.
How many episodes this is going to be? Did they say?
I see people credited with up to 7 or 8 episodes. So season 2 must already be underway, because I was like,
no, it's done.
No. Yeah. So I was like, why is there 6 episodes credited to this?
I think it's 10 episodes for the first season. So they split up season 1 into 5 episodes each. So there's going to be 5 episodes now, and in 6 months, supposedly, there's going to be another 5 episodes. The what they are doing. Am I still here?
Yeah. We just can't see you.
Gone.
My internet's getting wonky, so that's why I turned it off.
Oh boy.
So the so they're gonna. So I think knowing how Mattel operates, though, because Mattel, they pull the trigger very quickly on when to cancel toy lines and cancel shows and stuff. I feel like they're using this as a test to see if they would go with like a 20 episode season.
Yeah.
So I feel like the amount of debate that's currently going, they're probably looking through it. I'm sure that
I think it'll be fine. This is definitely worse than that Transformers debacle,
right
which
now,
is going to get 2 seasons.
on IMDb, it does say that Chris Wood, who is the voice of He-Man, which I think he does a good He-Man, is 8 episodes, and then everyone else, King Grayskull has 7, and then Tila has 6. So it is very confusing because some have 5. So it doesn't.
It might not be complete. So let's not rush to any judgment. Tim, quick question, since we still have you. That the He-Man in Paternia, was that the Wonder Bread He-Man? He was wearing the black armor, and he didn't really say anything. He was wearing like a Zodiac looking armor, but it was like
I think he had a Swedish or a Danish. Like he sounded like you're very European in a sense.
Yeah. So this is like some myth of I think I'm sure that hardcore guys can correct me, but there was supposedly a Wonder Bread He-Man, which was a mail away, and it's a whole debate online if that actually existed, because the company denies that this was actually a thing, but people remember having a mail. So it's like Mandela effect thing. They remember getting a mail away coupon that you could get that He-Man in the brown Zodiac armor and get him, and apparently he doesn't exist. It's like a whole internet myth or whatever. So that's kind of funny that if that's him in that final scene that they included him is hilarious.
Oh, I mean, I think of the one thing that after watching the show, the first 5 parts, what I would have loved to have seen though is if they more made, like, even with Scareglow, I actually thought the Scareglow parts were actually pretty cool. I love how they had him going between glowing and non-glowing. Like he basically, he powers off from fear, and I thought that was actually really interesting. And I did like his character, so I'm actually hoping that he does sort of come back in the second part, or at the very least that they kind of go further with him and with the Preternia and Subternia planes of existence, so that we get more stories if they decide to go ahead with a full-on 25 or 65 first season episodes or whatever. I'd love to see that. But I also, watching
Did you
this,
say 65 episodes in season 1? What year are you talking? You don't do that anymore. This isn't 1990 where 90210 did 45 episodes in season 1. That's bonkers. Who does this anymore? Union agreements would allow you to make.
What I felt like after watching it, what I would love to have seen is if they had actually done something with Skeletor where they made him more like Voldemort in a sense, that he because he hid his essence inside the evil-lyn staff, that he somehow was able to more be there in a sense, where he was able to sort of make things move to his bidding, and so that he would come back, which I felt
how lucky is he that evil-lyn didn't just throw away that staff after it was
exactly right? And they didn't and I felt like even though they alluded to it at one point, I felt like they could have done a little bit better job in doing that. Like they could have sort of said, no, Skeletor's still around, ha ha ha, and him becoming the new master of the universe. Again, I'm waiting to see what happens. Like, does he, completely rewrite history? Does the character, actually just turn Eternia into all dark side and evil ones? Everyone's evil now. It'll be interesting to see what they're going to do with part 2, right?
So Tim, I think you actually like this more than you think you did. And
For somebody who didn't like it that much, you sure are rapping a lot about it.
6 out of 10. You're kind of ooh, I'm really looking forward to part 2.
Because again, that's my brain looking at this and then looking at the things that I didn't like and how I improve it, to be a story that I would like to see again. So, that's how it, as for, like I said, for me right now, my score is still sitting at 5.56 out of 10.
I think you need to let us proof of life, because what we don't see is every time you log off, there's 3 guys wearing suits from Mattel holding baseball bats in front of you going, eating the shit out of you. Talks about some good stuff about us. So what you don't see is that there's a Mattel
outside of the cartoon, my likes or dislikes of it, I'm happy that they're going to be bringing in some new toys for this line, because I am a toy guy, so I like what I see with the toys, and that for me is what I like, right? That's what I really like
too.
But this is possibly only a step 1.
Yeah, but here's the big elephant in the room, and I want to say this out loud. I want them to change He-Man by leaps and bounds because you can get rid of all the old guys and guess what? Introduce new characters, new toys.
But done in a way that still honors the old characters, not what they did with Star Wars.
I don't
Why?
need the old
Right?
ones. I just give me new ones. Why do I need the
No.
old ones?
Your old
Because
ones are
they're
there for you
fantastic.
anyways.
The old ones
If they're
are
gonna,
there.
if they're honestly, if they're
The
gonna
old
do
ones
that,
are
then-
always going to be there. That's fine. But eventually, you're just going to get new people anyways, because that's what life is. You get people leave and new people come in. You're not the same. You know, same friends that you had in high school. Different friends, different people come into your lives. You get new friends, and then you see them every once in a while. You're like, hey, welcome, good to see you. But guess what? I have new toys I can buy too. Because how many of the same toys do I need to buy over and over and over? Because frankly, there's a one true
Don't be a
cosmetic
Transformers
change.
fan.
Yeah, but
You
but
know.
like
I think you're wrong, Stu. They have so many characters that they can delve into
But they
that
were
have like
designed in a
zero
time-
backstory.
yeah, but you were
They're
designed.
hilarious. Like,
But they were
like
designed in a time.
their
period
laser
where-
lot.
Yeah, but again, you designed things in the 80s when they just didn't have options because they had to build molds and everything. Now you have 3D printers and so many more options to and more 3D printing devices and programs to make toys better and more design sleek. Like the toys they made were just basically just, you know, just what they could do at that time period. Imagine what they could do if you could just give them unleashed and say, do new stuff. So I get it. You're right, Tim. I'm not saying get rid of all the old characters. If you want to make an old toy, so be it. But I'm ready for new people. I'm ready for Skeletor to be phased out and a new bad guy to come in. Like just,
But you know,
But
like
rotate
that's-
them through.
I will
That's
say
where-
though,
Go on, Rob. Go.
I was gonna say though, but you know what? The flip side is that Skeletor, he won.
Mhm.
We've never seen him achieve his goal.
Yeah, he's always pretty much
Like-
been a bumbling
he's like
idiot. and
Megatron.
he seemed pretty
They
threatening
never
in
achieved
this.
their we've never seen a cartoon bad guy achieve his goals.
Well, they
right?
do,
Like,
but then they just wipe it out like a back in
And-
time, and they never truly win. But yes, he's winning for once, and somehow they'll take it away from him. But yeah, it doesn't happen very often where the bad guy actually wins.
But I think when you think about like with Masters of the Universe, with how the with the cartoons they always mature to, you always with Snake Mountain, you always had the Snake Men, and that was always like what everyone was waiting for, because everyone kind of knew that when King Hiss came out, he was like, you know, he was more diabolical, more evil than
Yep.
Skeletor, right? And so with all the Snake Men that come from that was where, again, that's where people kind of see that, again, that's sort of like the natural transition,
Yep.
right? So, I mean, like, again, seeing that would be great. I'm all for seeing new characters. I really am. And I know that in the show, they allude to the fact that, you know, there's always a new, like, I don't even know how, like, Protector of Grayskull, I guess.
Yep.
I'm not sure I forget how they mentioned it in the show, you know, but I mean, like, you know, in a sense, you know, I mean, it'd be interesting to see where they're going to go with this again. And you know, I'm on board. When this I wasn't, but again, I felt like it's just, you know, I feel like again with the characters, it'd be interesting to see again. Like it'd be great if they brought Hordak in from the She-Ra universe, because She-Ra, you know, she's, you know, the Princess
Yeah,
of Power.
we're only 5
know?
episodes in, Tim.
He's
Five
already
I
busy
know.
with She-Ra. I'm ready for my
So-
my you know Frieza situation
I actually,
and
you
Dragon
know,
Ball.
I even
I just
again,
need a
I
new
actually
person.
felt. What I wish would have actually, what I would have mind in the story would even be is, for example, at the end of season 1, that He-Man didn't die, and what more of the fact is that he just, you know,
He's
they
not
alluded-
dead.
He's not dead.
Hang on, let's just
He's-
follow. Hey, whoa.
100%
But a
not
flesh
dead.
wound, Tim. It's but a
Please
flesh
just
wound.
follow my train of thought here before you chime in, okay? My whole thing
Never.
was at the end of episode 1, what occurs is still the loss of magic in Eternia, but Prince Adam actually remains as He-Man, and it's sort of like the cat's now out of the bag. And you know, Tila could still hate him for everything happens, but now he's no longer called He-Man. It's like now his father realizes that, you know, his weakling of a son is this strong super guy, you know, He-Man. And so essentially he just bequeaths his throne to He-Man now. So then now you've got King Adam, and King Adam now basically is trying to rule like Eternia. And so now, he's doing his thing, Tila still hates him and all this stuff. But then as the story progresses, you have that whole thing of going towards where Tila is now going to become the new sorceress. But the fact there's like the magic is leaving, it's like now He-Man, he starts losing his powers and he's not as strong. And so it's like he also has to find himself within this new Eternia. And so I felt like, it would have been interesting to see that in a sense, and the fact that you could have actually portrayed stuff.
Okay. Oh, Tim, I also have an idea. He wakes up in a small Nantucket bed, and he's like, "Oh my God, it was a dream." And then,
hey Tim, are you drinking coffee? Like at this late at night, you're all hyper up.
Water.
Oh, good Lord! You've just drafted out like 18 volumes of fan fiction.
I'm drinking cider, Rob.
So this doesn't live up to you
right now because this is what I need right now. I'm drinking full cider.
I'm just shocked that this is so polarizing with it. Even just the people I've talked to today. I definitely am in Rob's camp.
This is what we talk about in the Marvel stuff too.
Okay.
Like the
So
same
can
with
we just-
Loki. It's the same thing over and over. There's change involved, growth.
People don't like
development.
it.
You just do the same
But
thing.
let me
I'll
say this, but I'm saying this from a neutral perspective. Let me just say this from a neutral perspective. I think what the biggest contention with people and how they're saying wokeness, I'm not part of that crowd or anything like that. But I feel what it is because He-Man is always being about strong male role models.
You don't have enough of those.
Right?
But he's not a role model. He's a jerk in the cartoon.
Hang on. And then at the same time, though, we also had She-Ra and the Princess of Powers. And I think that is why you've had these two universes, right? And where basically you had people basically who really want, a male-centric, I guess male-centric show with He-Man and a female-centric show with She-Ra. And I can say this as a 45-year-old man, I used to watch with my sister. We used to watch Princess of Power. I enjoyed Princess of Power. Hell, I went to the Cineplex Odeon Eaton Center to go watch the He-Man movie by myself on like an afternoon in the summer, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. And the introduction of She-Ra, the Hordak, the Horde Troopers, and all the Horde, and I loved them all, and I loved it all when I was a kid. I loved all those characters, and I felt that it was such a great way of going that route. And I think that's where the people have got such a real issue, and there's that contention out there. And I hear you, guys, it's only 5 episodes.
I think the criticism of them going, I wanted He-Man, you didn't give me He-Man. Okay, I can understand that. But I don't know. This is only part one. This is only like the beginning of the story.
Here's the thing: you can watch She-Ra on Netflix as a male. It's still a good show. It doesn't even matter. Like She-Ra is actually a very good watch. The new Netflix show, it's great, and I can still have strong.
Well, even the original show was better written than the original He-Man show. So if you go back and you rewatch them, the She-Ra show was actually better written than the He-Man show overall.
It was. And it was actually, again, Hordak was great as a villain. Hordak was he was really cool as a villain. And
because he's competent. That's why I want Skeletor out of the picture. Skeletor's a bumbling, get rid of him, get a new person.
I think Rob's got a point.
That's like he's like the Boba Fett of He-Man. He just looks cool. Sorry, Rob.
The problem though, I guess I just take issue with your argument, Tim, in some regard, and I know that you may be just repeating what you're reading and just kind of trying to say this is kind of what the argument is, but it really sounds, and I'm not trying to be offensive to you, but it sounds like if what you're saying is everybody's complaining about is there being a bunch I want my male heroes, and they're having a hissy fit because they want it's our male stuff. You're taking our male hero. We've for eons and decades we've had a lot of male-centric hero. If you're not going to find it in He-Man, you're going to find it in your myriad of Batman movies or Superman movies or cartoons or what.
G.I. Joe.
You've got more than you have more than enough movies and television shows that can fulfill whatever male void, male hero void that you need to. We've had it all. This is not a woke show. This is just a show that is saying, hey, we have other characters here that are maybe a bit more compelling or just as important or have more to appreciate, that that are more they better each other.
Fans, though.
But
you're always going to have those. But hang on,
yeah, but
you're also going to have those fans who are always going to be that favorite. Just like again, with you guys not liking the new Transformers show, right? It's just like it's the same thing. You got people who like it and don't like it. I haven't seen it myself, but again, you're going to have those fans who are going to be like that. And when again, we've had the She-Ra show and stuff. I think that with the male audience, they feel as though
Tim, I think it's hard to generalize because like you say the male I think it's a very specific group, and when we generalize to say male, I don't think that's the appropriate thing. There's a group of particular people that are happy. I think it's just the hardcore fans who know the material, who
sure, if you want to go full on hardcore fans,
yeah, I think that's pretty, like, for example, like the casual viewers, we're enjoying it. But if you really know your stuff, I could see why you're upset. And looking at the reviews, like, again, it's like 97 or 96 on Rotten Tomato critics reviewed, and like low 30s for.
But I don't think that's accurate. There's a lot of review bombing that is going on, and
if you look at somehow Transformers War for Cybertron trilogy, somehow it's 90% average on Rotten Tomatoes, which is certified fresh, and audience score is 75. So people love it. I'm not one of those people, but I can totally understand why people love it. It makes no sense to me, but that's what the ratings are. So, that's it.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, I think that all four of us, there's a modicum of enjoyment in this show. Obviously, we can tell from one spectrum to the other, but I don't think either of us have said this is a completely shit show. I think that's not that's not the same as what was said when we did watch Transformers. I think most of us hated those shows, those newer episodes. So that being said, look at the discourse that we're having over 5 episodes. Like, that is something that we also have to acknowledge. There's only been 5 episodes, and this is like, bad press is good press, right? Like, so I think that they have hit a home run. I think Mattel should be very happy. I think Kevin Smith should be very happy. I think Netflix should be very happy. And I think that, take me back to 1997, man, and Howard Stern lands in Toronto, and, most people were listening to hear what he was going to say because they hated the guy, and that's how he got his ratings. It wasn't from the actual fans. It was mostly people who were watching. And I think the same thing is going to happen. You're going to see the exact same echo chamber starting to fly around when these next 5 episodes drop. And I personally can't wait. I said to Stu today offline when we were chatting during the day, I want to go back and watch these again because I feel like there's a lot that I probably missed and didn't get to appreciate because I was kind of multitasking at the time just so I could get all 5 episodes in. But I found myself more, if my bosses are watching, I was working, but I found my attention more towards watching these episodes because I was just so enraptured with what was happening. And it's gorgeous looking. So
as far as animation,
one thing I missed though is I missed that He-Man. Like, I missed a little bit of that the original song.
Watch the old cartoon for like a couple episodes, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, stop with this
I'm
music
done.
already!" Yeah. It's ridiculous the music cues that they just recycle over and over again. But I would say, like we've said before, me and Rob at least. I know Stu's like major animation guy. We're not really animation guys. So the fact that we were able to tank this entire 5 episode, 25
honestly,
season in one crunch and not be like, oh man, I got to go back to this.
Dreading
I think
Rob couldn't even get past the food fight scene in the Bad Batch. He couldn't get through 3 minutes of the Batman long Halloween, and
we've seen,
he's like, I'm out. So the fact
we've
that
probably
he was
seen the trailers
5 episodes of He-Man is a miracle.
And we've seen the trailers for Castlevania and all that stuff, and it looks pretty much the same, if not better. It's Stu said it's overall better,
much better, but
the action scenes and stuff like that. But that has not been able to capture us. So,
I'll caveat by saying that scene when the music plays that Castlevania payoff theme song was like the second last episode of the series like 2 or whatnot. I think series 1 was like 4 episodes, and season 2 was episode like 5 or 6. So I'll wait. Hopefully by the 5th episode, we'll get a remix of that He-Man song where he's actually fighting Skeletor, and
they can't. They can't. That's the sad thing is that all the original 80s music, I think, is owned by Filmation, so they can't get access to it. Which is really sad. I don't know. I'm not too sure. I think there's some legal issues behind it when it comes to all the Filmation stuff, so that's why they couldn't go with that even with this one. And I kind of missed that too, but I agree with
Trust
John.
me,
what
go
John
back
said,
and watch
right?
the old
I know. I was
show
gonna say
for-
I agree with
for a
John.
second,
Too, you know,
and you'll be
know,
like, I'm done.
Do your
I'm good.
But I think the biggest thing that I
version of it, that's
missed,
fine.
honestly, the thing that I missed the most though, for this new, just for the 5 parts, was Skeletor not giving us his maniacal laugh. That's what I missed. That the old.
He was getting there. I feel like
Yeah, but
he
you
was
didn't
getting
like
there.
Mark
I think-
Hamill, so why would you
I
want
think
Mark Hamill
was.
McCarthy's laugh anyways?
I think he was getting there. What about that intro, Tim, where they showed all the old art from the original? It looked
Oh,
like
the
from
art, that was
original boxes and
that
stuff.
was beautiful. That was so. I love the art. I love that it was talking about this, the ongoing battle between good
Yeah,
versus
we're gonna
evil.
we're gonna
know.
convince Tim that he actually
So-
liked this. I actually think my rating goes up.
There is
So,
another episode. I don't know if you
6.
guys saw this, but it was a behind the scenes or after show special, about 25 minutes. Kevin Smith, the head of Mattel, and the girl who plays Tila's friend Adira or whatever. It's just called Matt Revelations, I think. Anyways, I took a look at it. Funny enough, they have they have the Castle Grayskull in the background, like a toy set, and they have some other. I swear to God, I thought I saw a Hordak statue behind them on a shelf. So
I'll check it out.
yeah, it's cool. They interview some of the actors and voice cast.
Like
So
again, I'm just happy to scale up the villainy of He-Man. Just Hordak, fine. The next one, let's cross. Let's bring in Frieza. Let's bring in Boo.
No,
Let's bring in each
Skeletor
one.
is the ultimate villain.
He is not.
You're bonkers.
That's the secret. He is not a good
You're
villain. We've
bonkers.
already said
You're
it.
bonkers.
He's like Starscream. He's just
No, but in
there.
this show, he
Just
was a
there.
serious threat. He was a serious
he was
threat.
about as serious as Mumra was in
Yeah.
Thundercats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Both of-
Mummer did nothing. I remember every episode I watched him like, when is he gonna turn into this cool thing? He's like, he never
Yeah.
did.
Same with Skeletor. He did nothing.
He's this dude in rags and
Yeah,
stuff.
all the
so-
all the 80s mega villains were all lame. Every
I think the
single
one thing I would have, like, what I'm looking forward to though for the next 6 months is again what John's holding right there. I hope Mattel decides to re-release all the old shows again on DVD, on Blu-ray. I'll pick them up.
Yeah.
I'll gladly.
Well,
go
you
grab
can
them, know.
yeah. So I'm holding in my hand the He-Man and Masters of the Universe. This is the 2000X series. I think the entire thing you can actually watch off YouTube. So I don't know what's going on. There's a He-Man YouTube channel, and the whole thing I think is on there.
Nice.
I'm sure Rob's going to recommend the old Masters of the Universe movie with Dolph Lundgren, Courtney Cox, and
It's not
and,
happening.
and a whole bunch of people. And yeah,
Whoa. Let's not forget Oscar winner.
Frank
Frank
Langella.
Frank.
oh man, he kills it. He
Skeletor.
kills it as
He
Skeletor.
is French kid masterful in this. This guy has an Oscar and he's well deserved because my God, is he fantastic. Okay, so we're wrapping up because this is way too long. But needless to say, we're all a mixed bag of emotions in a glass case. Don't know what to feel, but we're all excited to see what happens for the next 5 episodes. We will be back to talk about that in X months' time. Hopefully,
I'm pretty sure. I think I bring my rating up to an 8 after Rob's convincing. I think he's right. I think we do have a gem here that,
We'll see.
that some
Let's
people
hold
are
off.
turning
Let's hold
into
off.
some
Let's hold on.
weird controversy for no apparent reason. And I think it's fine. Tim doesn't like it for his reasons. It's not the reasons that Rob.
Well.
spoke about to you
Again.
guys, yeah.
Let's be fair. Tim has the Mattel Mafia standing by right now to beat him up at any moment in time if he doesn't say anything. Blink, proof of life. Let us know that you're okay. Okay, if those who didn't know, I was blinking weirdly.
You were trying
all
to make
for-
it audible. Like, can I do this hard enough that you guys can hear it?
Thank you all for joining us. Hopefully, let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you think. Are we wrong? Are we right? Can you not wait to see more He-Mans in the future? And Tim's
just gonna vanish himself. He
Just
doesn't
vanish
realize how
himself.
this blue screen works.
Yeah,
But he's
blue
holding
screen.
a Palace
Man, I
Guards
don't
of Eternia 2-pack, which I definitely want to get off him if he wants to let it
there
go.
we go.
But I don't think he's
All
gonna do
right. Well, thank you all. Share, listen, comment below, and
Be respectful.
We'll be
Yes.
back.
it. Yeah.
Oh
well,
yeah, be respectful.
Yeah,
You know.
be respectful.
Yeah.
Be respectful, and we'll be back. Be like Adam. Be a good guy. Be He-Man. Be awesome. Have a good
Choose
one.
your lesser form
Did
in
I
the
not-
afterlife.
Did I not give you? Like, didn't I not sell you the other? Like, I sold you a set of these.
I have a
guys,
set.
didn't
I have a set of those. I would definitely like another set.
No, I'm not
John's
going
more
to
Palace
set.
Guards, man. John's more
You need a whole
You
squad
can-
of Palace
you can
Guards.
steal.
Wow. All right.
Maybe
this
we'll
is
find
weird
some of the
tra-
toy show.
There's a real transaction going on right now, but we'll talk next time about it. And John and Tim's experience picking up weird He-Man toys at weird places. So we're gonna talk about that next time. So thank you all.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us.
Bye.
Me and Rob will do a detailed breakdown
Thank
of each episode later on. Since y'all didn't like it.
Oh boy. All right. See you later.
Peace out, guys. Thank you.
Bye.